Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Our webinar today is Turn PDF tax returns into Excel in Minutes with TaxXL. My name is Adam Manson. I am the Director of Valuation Data here at BBR. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that your attendance today is eligible for 1 CPE credit. To receive this credit, there are 2 things that you must do. First, please be aware that there are simple polling questions during the webinar that are used to measure engagement. Polls are required by NASBA to provide you with CPE credits. There are 4 polling questions that will pop up at random times, and you will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. You will be alerted when a poll comes up with a ding sound and a note in the chat box. You must answer 3 of the polling questions to receive CPE credit. The second thing you must do to get CPE credit is complete and submit a brief survey at the conclusion of today's webinar. A link to the survey is included with your login email and is also available on the event page for the program. Additionally, after this webinar, your browser will be redirected to the survey page. You will need to complete and submit the survey within 5 business days to get your CPE credit. If you have any trouble with the audio streaming during the webinar, please refresh your screen and that should fix the problem. If you have any questions for our presenters, we will take them in writing only. To do so, please use the chat function on the side of your screen. And now I'd like to introduce today's presenters. Natalia Kalava has over 13 years of experience in the field of finance. Ms. Kalava has prepared, overseen, or contributed to hundreds of valuations for gift and estate tax planning, SBA valuations, financial reporting, and litigation purposes. Additionally, Ms. Kalava has an adjunct finance faculty member, was an adjunct finance faculty member at the University of Tampa, teaching corporate finance and investment courses. Natalia is a co-founder and managing member of Nambri Technologies and focuses on business development. Murali is a managing member and co-founder of Nambri Technologies. He heads up product development at Nambri. He brings deep expertise in enterprise software and commercialization. With academic backgrounds in finance and technology, he is interested in rapidly accelerating operational effectiveness and productivity by applying scalable, secure, and high-precision software solutions leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, I will turn this presentation over to Natalia and Murali.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you're located. Adam, thank you so much for having us and for giving us the introduction. We are excited to be here, and let's get started. So the agenda for today's conversation will be to speak a little bit about us, just to add a little bit more color to what Adam already provided. Then we will talk about some of the benefits and value proposition of using automated technology such as Nambri TaxXL. Murali will do a little bit of a deeper dive into the nuts and bolts of what Nambri TaxXL is, how does it work, and all of the technical aspects. And then he will turn it back to me. I will do a short case study as well as the live product demo. And then we will probably have some time for Q&A. During our conversation, if you have any questions, we would like to make it as interactive as possible in this environment. Please go ahead and submit your questions via the chat, and we will address them as we see them popping up. So the learning objectives for today's presentation, the first one would be to identify the key data attributes in tax returns that would be required to perform a business valuation analysis. And I'm sure most of you are already familiar with this type of work and what those are, but we will describe them in more detail as we go through this presentation. Next, we will look and understand more about how Nambri TaxXL works and how it is used to automate knowledge abstraction. And finally, to recognize the core benefits of using the technology tools to automate your business valuation process. A little bit about Nambri Technologies and Nambri TaxXL. So Nambri is an enterprise technology firm. We specialize in cutting-edge SaaS capabilities, and we specifically focus and target our products and solutions to finance and business valuation professionals. Nambri TaxXL is a cloud-based software solution that helps and automates spreading tax returns. and provides the Excel spreadsheet as a financial report that business valuation professionals can use. The purpose and the goal of our organization is to empower you as valuation professionals to do what you do best. Instead of spending time manually entering data, that time can be used more efficiently for critical thinking, using your experience and expertise to be a valuable business advisor to your clients. So our team, my name is Natalia, and then my co-founders and managing members are Britt Fitch and Morali Mina, and Morali is here with us on this call. We are the entrepreneurs. Britt and Morali also co-founders and have a company called Wired Informatics. My background is in finance and business valuation. I do have a business valuation firm located in Tampa, Florida. And we found Nambri, as we already said, to develop the software and capabilities to enhance our decision-making ability as business valuation professionals, utilizing the latest cutting-edge technologies, including artificial intelligence, as well as the machine learning. So the first bullet point in our key learning objectives was to define what are some of the key attributes that we need to get from tax returns in order to perform a valuation analysis. As you probably can guess, what do we need to do a business analysis? Well, we need profit and loss statements, we need income statements, and we need balance sheets. And we use tax returns to get those statements. The challenge arises is that most of the tax returns we receive are either in digital PDF tax forms or they can be in image PDF tax forms. Every once in a while, the client would bring an actual paper tax return as well, right? So there's a lot of manual effort as a result of this that goes into spreading those tax returns. Because we can't begin our analysis, we can't begin to understand and tell the story about the company without understanding first where it has been in the past. So a lot of the manual effort goes into just simply spreading those tax returns. Before I jump into this slide, maybe we should have a first polling question. Nathan? So the first polling question says, identify key areas of inefficiency in your practice. So go ahead and select what answer suits you best, and we'll see the results as they're coming along. So we see an even split so far for data extraction. Oh, no longer an even split. Data extraction, manual data entry, which is very true, and I can identify with that sentiment in my own valuation practice. Report writing, followed by financial analysis, followed by market research and project management capabilities. So it looks like data extraction is still leading. Nathan, once you feel like everyone has answered, we can take the polling out. Fantastic. All right, so it looks like I'm not the only one that needs help spreading and entering data into our Excel models. So the typical business valuation practice, according to one of the latest surveys, I think this was from the BVR survey, has about 2 to 3 partners and between 7 and 9 analysts, including in additional 2 of support administrative staff. However, the median business valuation practice has just a staff of 2 to 3 people. So that means that if we have right now a valuation analyst with an average salary anywhere between $65K to $80K, depending on how big the practice is and where you're located, the rates obviously may vary. And let's say if you have 100 clients per year, if you're a smaller boutique firm, you get 5 years of tax returns per each client. And that manual effort, at least based on my experience, ranges anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, depending on the quality of data, how clear the numbers are, depending on how experienced the staff is that's entering that manual data. So you end up per year spending anywhere from 200 to 600 hours on average. Well, using those average rough rates per hour, that ends up being to almost over $20,000 per year per analyst. So 10 to 30 almost % of their time is spent simply entering manual data. But if we think about it, we don't need somebody with a college degree even to enter manual data. It's just you see it on the page and you transfer it on the page. Does it really validate spending so much time in manual effort when we as valuation professionals really need to be spending time analyzing the data, creating robust, comprehensive reports, doing the market research, and providing valuable advice to our clients? So using automated technology tools such as Nambri TaxXL, we can significantly accelerate that process. On average, for 5 years of tax returns, it takes about 3 minutes, maybe 2 to 3 minutes per client to get the data from PDF tax form into an Excel, something that's usable and you can continue on with your analysis from that point on. So that's just from $150 to maybe $200 cost. So you can see that significant difference in using a manual effort versus utilizing a tool that's available to us to enhance our analysis. Taking it a step further, according to the latest IBIS World Report, a revenue per employee is roughly $128,000. So if we can layer in that 20% improvement, we can see that enhanced productivity, as well as the positive reflection in the revenue per the employee. And the more employees you have, the greater that improvement proposition is. And now I will turn it to Murali to talk a little bit more about the actual technology.
Thank you, Natalia. Pleasure talking to everyone today. So with the whole objectives and the industry challenges that we confirmed, what we set out for was to create a very simple, elegant, secure solution with the least learning curve for finance professionals to incorporate this into their workflow, right? What we've built is a highly scalable, secure cloud that encompasses or hosts TaxXL for finance professionals. So if you have to break it down into 3 distinct stages, it's basically, you sign up for the product and you start using the product from day one, right? So the product is extremely easy from an adoption point of view for all our clients. So there is no reason for anybody to host it or talk about additional IT support, maintenance, all of that stuff. So if you have a repository of PDF tax forms and you would like to convert it into Excel, this is a one-stop shop, click and go. So we framed it in such a way that it provides you with an instant access to this conversion at large. So once a client signs up, the product is built with all industry standards. It scales, as an industry needs. Everything is highly secure. All the data that's sent to the cloud is through secure channels. And a user has to basically create a project, upload these PDF documents, and pause for a few minutes, right? So the cloud where this entire magic happens takes these PDF documents, processes them, and creates a highly structured interpretation of the income statements, the balance sheets, all of those things. And you're able to download that instantly onto your computer. The end user also has a very high degree of flexibility in the sense that they can purge the data as they need. So we have built the product with all these considerations for what a finance professional thinks, right? One is, what is the fastest way to give them the data that they need so that they can go from there towards valuation and stuff like that. Also, not being worried about what happens to the data and things like that. So it's a very simple, elegant, cloud-based architecture. There is no considerations for how many can you process, what is the time that you have to wait. It's highly optimized for your industry. So when you sign up for Nambri TaxXL, there are several things that you can assume that you have, right? One is you have a highly secure cloud-based SaaS offering. There's no reason for you to add additional IT support, worry about learning curves. Do I need training to use this? You probably need training, but it's probably going to be like 10 minutes, right? So it's very, very simple. It's as easy as somebody starting to type a document in Microsoft Word, right? Very, very simple, scalable, secure, cloud-based offering that you can sign up as many users as you want within your organization. The second, biggest aspect is, how reliable is this output that comes out of it, right? So there's another slide as we go through just to recap, but the current version of the product provides you with like 90+% accuracy in terms of the output that it abstracts from the tax return. So imagine getting 90% accurate data from the tax documents without even looking at it manually. So it gives you a great deal of flexibility to be able to just push the data to the cloud, extract the information, and you're off to the race in terms of doing your valuation, your decisions, even common sizing, and being able to look at the data itself. The cursory look on the data, if you have to wait 2 to 6 hours versus getting the output instantly. So we provide you with this very high productivity tool that allows you to securely transmit the data and get the output back instantaneously from the software. The additional benefit that Natalia emphasized earlier was in terms of productivity and data retention, right? So imagine an organization that has been in existence for 10 years, 20 years. Most of the knowledge that it has is embedded in Excel spreadsheets that's sitting on people's desktops. But if you were to start leveraging automated tools like TaxXL and start processing the data, you have a single repository where your historical data resides along with all the projects that you have worked on. So there is no reason to have this individualized on local desktops, but you have a single repository that could be leveraged for additional analysis and even for your data retention. So you don't have to go back and recreate something because it's already there. So you get the flexibility of being able to retain the data to your liking and also get this high precision, secure way of being able to process the tax documents and get the results back in an Excel format. Currently, we support quite a few forms, and this is just the starting point, right? We constantly keep adding to this as we are evolving the framework. But from the feedback that we had or the market study that we did, 1120, 1120S, 1065, and Schedule C form 1040 were some of the key forms that people wanted to leverage. So these are some of the forms that are currently available, and it's no way an end-all thing. So it's constantly being added, and we are constantly updating it. So let me pause here for a second, Nathan. If you want to provide another polling question at this point, we can take that and then switch back to Natalia so she can go much deeper into the use of the product itself.
Okay, it looks like audited, unaudited financial statements. Schedules M1, M2 are in demand. Some internally generated PDF statements, such as QuickBooks. Smaller percentage for Form 8825. Okay. Somewhat surprising results. We expected to find the Form 8825 to dominate the request, but it looks like audited, unaudited financial statements are definitely leading according to our survey here. Okay, thank you, Nathan. And I do want to address a question that came through the chat, and it says, so it is not 100% accuracy for the Nambri TaxXL. So the reason why we have to layer in and have a degree of not 100% certainty is simply because depending on the quality of tax returns and PDF documents that we would receive. So what exactly does it mean? Well, if there is a watermark that's completely black and it obstructs how the number looks like, that it's not even readable by the human eye, or if we were to print the page, then it is likely, more likely than not, that that we would not be able to identify to the exact correct digit what the number is. Additionally, it doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough when an accountant makes an error, a CPA, and numbers just simply don't add up. So our program would pick up and say, hey, these numbers are just not lining up. It says the total is this, but if we sum everything above it, it's not what the total is. So it will flag it as an error. So for those are some of the reasons why we cannot say it's 100% accuracy. The technology itself does go through multiple layers of verification. So it's not just one pass, one scrape and go. It typically goes through, and Murali can correct me on it once I turn the mic back to him in later slides, that it goes through up to 6 stages, validating the numbers. So if it does flag an error, it's because it's either a very faint number that it's impossible to read, there's a black watermark over it, could be an accountant error. So I hope I answered that question. If I didn't, please submit another one. We'll love questions and we want to answer as many as you have. All right, so jumping into the financial analysis section. I don't really need to probably go through every explanation and reason why financial analysis is important and to what degree it is important in doing valuation work. But obviously we do the financial analysis to review the company's performance. We do it to identify the future growth prospects. We do it to identify risk factors and compare the company's performance to itself as well as to its peer group. We can't do any of this without first understanding what is happening with the company. And the way we do it, we have to spread the tax returns. We have to see, okay, for the last 3, 5, or 6 years, depending on the scope of your analysis, where has the company been, right? What are some of the trends in its profitability margins? What are some of the trends in its revenue? What expenses might be standing out? And we significantly condensing that time frame into minutes instead of spending half a day spreading the data. And I see some questions coming up, therefore I was pausing, trying to read them. We're spreading the data to see what those trends are so we can continue with our analysis. So I will pause for a second just so I can read the questions that are coming in, and then Murali and I can answer them before we jump into the next slide. The first question is, how does the software deal with extracting data from supporting schedules? That's a great question. How do you have to identify which supporting schedules for it to extract? Yes, so great question from Jordan. So we do extract the supporting schedules. That's the great benefit of Nambri TaxXL. So we extract the other deductions, which typically takes the longest to manually enter into Excel. And the program knows. The program knows which schedules to look for. Same thing goes for balance sheets, other liabilities, other assets, other current liabilities. All of that information get pulled, and we create a comprehensive P&L report or the balance sheet report that can be extracted based on the data. Morala, did you have something to add to that?
No, that's perfect.
I saw you jumping in, so I thought, oh, you have some valuable insight that I'm missing. And so once we do the demo in a few minutes, you will see how that all fits in. The next question is, does the software go into supporting schedules to add the additional detail? For example, on an income statement. So the way you will see how it goes. So it's laid out as a P&L. You will have the revenue. You will have revenue growth rate or decline. You'll have cost of goods sold, gross profit, and then at the bottom you have other deductions, as well as the expenses from the first page of tax returns. We do alphabetize them, so it's very easy to identify the items and then reformat them if you need it for your own model. The next question is, when an error is flagged during conversion, does the software allow for easy access? Absolutely. So it's very easy in the dashboard. I will demonstrate it. You just double click, you put the correct number, save it, and then you can extract corrected P&L and balance sheets. Can the software convert the tax asset detail fixed asset schedule? Not yet. So the fixed asset schedule is on our roadmap or to be added to the roadmap. Currently, we do not have that schedule. All right. Looks like we can continue on. So let's look at the case study. This is through the PowerPoint slides, and then I will jump into the actual program, show you how everything looks, how do we upload files, what kind of report we get back. And if that generates more questions, we welcome all of them and we can address them as we are moving right along. So here is a simple case study for a flooring business. It's a retail flooring business in the state of Florida. We have 3 years of tax returns, 2018 through 2020, and it was for financing SBA purposes. So Nambri is so easy. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So the step number 1, you create new project. You name your project or based on the company name or however you desire. Step number 2, you see on this screen the gray button. Once you create that project, it turns orange. You click on the orange button, you select the files you need, and they get uploaded into your dashboard. Then you have the option to review the files. You can make any amendments or changes if there's an error that's flagged, or if you even want to make an adjustment in that dashboard, I will show you how you can do so. Once you are happy with it, you click Save, and then you can export the file. So we have a question popped up, so I will pause to read it. How do we recommend getting client permission to upload their tax returns to the cloud? I understand the cloud is secured, but I could see a potential issue here with uploading sensitive and confidential information to a third party. I will let Morali handle the technical aspect of this question.
Absolutely. So this is no different than being able to use an online version of Adobe PDF, right? So if you have a subscription version of Adobe PDF and you're opening the document, it is still the same way. So there is no additional, permission issues because you're basically uploading the document to extract the information, and you have the opportunity to purge the document from the software. So similar to what you would do with opening the document with Adobe on a cloud-hosted software. I don't see any additional concerns. But if there is a reason, it's that your client might not want you to do it, it's something that you might want to discuss it with your client in terms of using this, from a cost and efficiency point of view. But I don't see it being any different than opening it on any cloud hosted solutions.
Okay. And do we want to mention the data is always encrypted, secure? There's no third party has access to your data, to your client's data. It's completely your client's data. We don't see it. We don't have access to it. Once you delete it, it's gone forever. So you have the control of the information in the data room that on the dashboard when you enter Nambri.
Excellent. I absolutely agree with that. So, from a client point of view, this environment is very, very secure, and it confines them, in a locked vault, right? I mean, this is between the client and the data that they're receiving from their client, and it's not visible to anybody else. So, yes, it's a very safe environment. Yes. The next question we have is from Henry. Will the software scan each page individually for other deductions, or does the software rely on? No, the software actually is, scans every page. So it does not rely on any bookmarks or any inherent taggings that are in the document. So it is purely, it scans every page as if it's a unique page, abstracts the knowledge, the metadata on each of the pages, and then proceeds to do what it does best, which is to extract the information from relevant spots within the document and provide you with an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. Would you like to address the next couple of questions?
Sure. Can we map the Excel data, or is it just dumped into an Excel file? So the product itself, as Natalia, when Natalia demonstrates, you will see that there is a side-by-side view that allows you to, make the changes or reconcile the data. But the output itself is currently available in a standardized format, in terms of being able to extract the data from the PDFs and then provide it in a standard format. So I'm not sure, when you say you want to map the data, what is it that you would like to map? But it provides you with a one-to-one translation between what is in the tax forms to what is in the Excel. But it also explodes the other deductions and stuff so that you have a single consolidated view of your P&L as represented in the tax forms.
I will add that this question came from Mason. Mason, if you want to email BVR with perhaps an Excel template of how are you envisioning the data to be restructured, we can take it back to our developer team and present that as an option if there is enough, depending on what feedback we will receive from them, we may be able to incorporate it as well. So just send us what you have in mind so we can visually see and make sure we're correctly interpreting your question, and we can go from there. And then the last one, Murali?
Yep. So I think the question is around SOC audits and security audits. So it is something that we are working towards. Given that we rely quite heavily on AWS and companies that are already SOC compliant, I don't think that's a concern that we should have. But we built the product with security as a central framework, and I think it comes up again in one of the slides, but where I'll talk about all the tenets of security that's been implemented in the product. But it's something that's strongly on our radar.
Yes. And then the last question right now we have from Kevin. Does the software have the ability to read non-searchable pages? So I'm assuming you're referencing images, and it does. So that's one of the key benefits. Once we receive a scanned, essentially tax return, that's just a large image, the program can read all of those values and spread the tax returns. All right. So I will move on to the next page. And so the dashboard looks something like this. And I will jump into the actual live demonstration very shortly. So we upload the files in the main dashboard. You can kind of clearly see which years you uploaded, and there's no limit whether it's 3 years. It's just for demo purposes. I selected 3, but it can be 5, can be 10, depending on the scope of your engagement. And then you see the green magnifying glass to all the way to the right. It indicates that the files are ready. And I will click on that in a live version. You will see what options and what tools you have in a live version where you can edit the files. So when you click on that magnifying glass, you will see on the left-hand side the bookmarks. Bookmarks are the schedules that have been extracted from the tax returns. So currently it is income statement, Schedule L, balance sheet, other deductions, and then any supporting schedules from the balance sheet from that Schedule L. In the center, you have the reflection of the PDF that you're working with, and on the right-hand side are the values that have been scraped. So if there is an error, typically on the bookmark side, it will have a orange exclamation point saying, please review this schedule, and you will have the opportunity to correct any errors should you decide to do so. And so what schedules does it actually extract and export? Going back to those key attributes from tax returns. Well, we have the income statements spread for as many years as many files you upload. We have the balance sheets, and then we have the common size statements. Common size statements for the income statement, expressing each line item as a percentage of revenue, and then the common size balance sheet expressing each item as a percent of total assets. And then this is an example of what it will look like once you extract the file. So you have the top line revenues, cost of goods sold, and then you have your other deductions as well as the expenses from the first page. You will see a side-by-side view with that common size spread. And then the balance sheet is a similar layout to the right on this screen. So this makes it very easy, right? We're going back to the same point. Well, we can't really begin the analysis. We can't take that first step that we were hired and retained to do as valuation professionals until we analyze and look at the bigger picture of what is happening with this company, until we can start dissecting it. So here, once we download the P&Ls, once we download the balance sheets, we can see, okay, the revenues went down in 2020, which, well, no surprise, COVID and supply chain issues and labor shortages, et cetera, right? So then we can go in and see, okay, well, how's the profitability margins doing? Well, profitability margin, gross profit went a little bit up in 2020. We can dive in and see, well, are there any discretionary expenses, non-recurring, any spike in any one expense that we need the explanation for? This allows us to start developing that story. Where has the company been? Once we understand that fundamental background, we can then try to determine what's the risk, what are the future prospects, and we can kind of use this as our jump and our starting point in our analysis. So just extending the point from the prior slide, once we make the adjustments, it's a lot easier and quicker to start calculating those financial ratios, liquidity, solvency, efficiency, profitability, benchmarking the company to industry standards and or its peer group. It just expedites the process tremendously. So now I feel like we're at a great point to do the actual live demo. And we do have one question that came in. Murali, do you want to answer it? What is the limit per month while I'm starting to sharing my screen?
Sure. I think there are two tiers of usage that individuals can use. And this is probably a quick question to the BVR folks when they sign up to talk to them about the tier that they want to leverage. But it's something that, we can definitely support the kind of usage that they're looking at, based on the tiers.
Yes, thank you, Murali. Oh, it sounds like we have a polling question. So let me actually close out of sharing the screen so we can answer the polling question and see what the results are. And then I will jump back into sharing again. So the question is, what other technology tools would you find most useful in your practice? So if you can please take a second to answer. So it looks like the valuation management CRM would be useful. Automated report writing capabilities is dominating this poll. Cloud-based valuation software, absolutely. Okay. Well, it looks like the report writing, I know analyzing is always an exciting journey, but then writing and documenting it appropriately is definitely an essential step in the entire process. We do have a question from Mark. It says, how can you import the data into your existing Excel template? So once you get the data exported, you can simply copy and paste the data into your valuation model. You can, or you can build on to the existing Excel if you decide to do so. Personally, I just copy the P&L and I add it into my workbook. All right, so let me share my screen again. So I am located on a BVR website, bvrresources.com. And then I'm assuming most of you are subscribers. If you are not, please subscribe to something from BVR. Go ahead and log in to your personal profile. Under subscriptions, you will find Nambri TaxXL. If you would like to sign up for Nambri TaxXL, under that deal and market data tab, you can see an image for Nambri TaxXL, and that would be one of the ways you can get to Nambri TaxXL as well. But for now, I'll just go ahead and enter my dashboard for Nambri. And the first step would be to create a project. So I will name it Event Venue Company LLC. We will save the file. Then you see this button automatically turns orange, invites you to add the files. You locate them in your file, simply highlight as many years as you like, click upload. As we mentioned earlier, this system is developed in such a way that there are several layers through which the data gets analyzed. So it's not available instantaneously. It does take 2 to 3 minutes to process and to validate the data that is being extracted from tax returns. Right now, you will notice that this magnifying glass is turned gray. That means the files are being processed, and the status is here 1 of 6. Right? You see what files, what years you're extracting, and the name of your company. What you will do after a couple of minutes or so, go ahead, click this blue button that looks like a turning wheel with arrows, and you will see that some of the files that have been already processed start turning green, this magnifying glass to the right. So what you can do is click on that magnifying glass, and as the example that we reviewed in the PowerPoint presentation, you see the bookmarked schedules that have been reviewed and extracted. There is an income statement, there is a balance sheet, there is other assets, there's other current liabilities, granted not too many for this company, some other current liabilities, other liabilities, and then of course the grand finale of other deductions. And this one, it was fairly easier because there was lines, but oftentimes, as you know, there are no lines. We just try to squeeze the PDF into a double screen or side by side and trying to tick mark, making sure we're entering correct data. So in the middle, there is a PDF, and on the right-hand side, those are the values per each line items that have been scraped. So let's assume the compensation of officers was not scraped correctly, right? You can double click. Let's assume it was a 1, right? There would be an error indicated on the left-hand side. You can simply type in the correct amount and then click Save. you will get the notification that it is saved successfully. And let's say you fix the error, which don't happen too often, but like I said, it does happen because accounting, human error, etc., that happens in the actual tax form. Now let's go back to our files and we can see that everything is green now, everything is ready. So we can click export. With export, you have an option to only get income statements or balance sheets. You can just click and click as you like or as your project demands. In this case, we want all statements and we click submit. The file immediately goes into your downloading inbox and you can double click to open the file. So to some of the questions that we received earlier, this is the report that you receive. How you manipulate the data, how you modify the data and transfer into your work file, it is up to you. Because you're the valuation professional, you're the expert in your area, you can decide how you use the data. We're simply giving you the access to the data so that you are empowered to move through the process, through the workflow more effectively, more productively, more accurately, faster. So in this screen, we can see, okay, well, here are the company's revenues, here's the growth rates. Of course, we're seeing that decline again due to COVID. We can see how did the gross profit margins do. They kind of improved a little bit over time. So we can start having a conversation with the business owner, starting to have that conversation a lot faster if compared to otherwise, right? So we can then look at individual expenses and see what makes sense, what doesn't. Are there any spikes in expenses that don't make sense? Is the officer's comp is comparable to fair market rates? Is the rent that the company pays is appropriate? Why there's no rent in certain years, or why some expenses are on certain years but not the others? So we can do our thorough analysis as we're supposed to do. One nice feature that I find personally very useful and reassuring, at the very bottom, we have the reconciliation to the source document. So you can see that the delta here is 0. So everything ticks and ties to the tax return that we used. Similarly for the balance sheet, you may decide that you need to format the numbers. Again, as a professional, you're empowered to do and work with the data as you decide it's appropriate for your practice. We're here just to help you with that process and facilitate an improved version to do so. So let me go back and stop sharing, see if there are any questions at this point. All right, we're back to slides. It looks like we have some questions.
So
Morali,
Natalia,
have you had a chance to read those questions?
Yeah,
you want
absolutely.
to start tackling them and I can read at the bottom?
Sure. So I think there are a couple of questions in terms of, Sorry, can you hear me?
Nope. All right, so we can hear Morali. So I will go ahead and start reading the question. In a spreadsheet I currently use, I have the ratios linked to the appropriate lines from the balance sheet and income statement. When I hand enter the data, I ensure these links are not broken. Does your product allow something similar? For example, keeping cash and AR on the same Excel row on the balance sheet tab. I'm not sure I understand the question fully. You can copy and paste the data into the rows if you have a formatted Excel where you're always keeping, let's say, your cash and cash equivalents on row 1, or let's say row 10, if we're allowing for any type of header information. So you can copy and paste that information to that row 10 to keep it consistent. Since this extracted report is not the full valuation workbook, this is just the extracted data, you would have to manipulate and copy paste, which again is a lot more efficient and faster rather than manually typing in just to have the starting point and in analysis. If I didn't answer that correctly, Shirley, I apologize. just send us the question or send the question to BDR, and then we can follow up and see how we can work with you or help you enhance that connection and the linking in your model.
Natalia, hi, this is Adam. Sorry to jump in really quickly, but I just
Question
wanted to
from
say,
Mark: how does your product differ from the other services that do the same thing? I'm not aware of the products that offer similar services. I don't know of any product that does what our product does. Kevin has a question that says, does the software capture the schedules that break down cost of goods sold? Not yet, but it is that is the schedule that will be added to our roadmap. We're just trying to prioritize the schedules and issue based on the demand that the users and our clients are asking for. So if that is the schedule that is of vital importance to you, we can certainly add it. Can you hear me?
yeah, Natalia, we can hear you just fine. We can hear Murali too. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I cannot hear Murali though.
Okay. Murali, I think we can hear you, and the audience has indicated they can hear you as well. So if you need to jump in, please do so.
All right. So Murali, are you covering the section? Okay, I can't hear you, but I'll assume you are talking.
Now I cannot hear Murali, actually.
Oh. Do you want to try refreshing your browser? That's what I did. Yes, welcome back.
So I think we've covered a lot of this. I want to be considerate of time. So there's a lot of questions that are in the Q&A. Adam, would it be okay if we can collect these questions and answer them back after the webinar?
Most certainly, yes. We can collect all these questions and send them to you, and we'll pass those answers back to the inquirers.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We're coming up on the hour here. So I want to kind of take this opportunity to emphasize on some of the key aspects of the product itself. So, from a security aspect, and the concern about can we use the documents and stuff, the only thing that I can assure you is the product is highly secure, right? Whether it's from transmitting the data to the cloud, processing the data, or getting the data back from the cloud, right? Everything is highly secure. It's been a primary focus in terms of the way we have built the software. And the second biggest aspect of our product has been in terms of accuracy. It's a machine learning product, so it constantly improves on the output. And the more we process, the more accurate it becomes, the more it learns from what it's doing. So right now we're looking at upwards of 90% in terms of accuracy in schedules and stuff. But as it ages, it ages better, right? So it'll become even more precise. It'll become even more efficient in terms of extracting the information for our end users. And Natalia kind of emphasized on a lot of these aspects, like being able to get to the data faster, improving your productivity, your efficiency, and your cost savings. All of these are some tenets of the product that you get right away. There's one thing that I want to kind of showcase. We are a technology company, right? We thrive on giving the most advanced cutting edge capabilities to improve efficiency for our end users. And here's a sample road, like I would say more of a fluid roadmap. But if clients have a need for a particular schedule ahead of others, we can definitely see if we can incorporate that, right? So we are a young company, we are highly innovative, we value client feedback, But just to give you an illustration in terms of where we are headed to and what's on tap for us from a product standpoint of view, so you can see where we are. We've completed 1040, even though it says that it's on phase 2. It's available, ready to go for people who want to use, to extract 1040. And 80, schedule, form 8825 is almost there, right? So we probably are ahead of our schedule in terms of phase 2. So we will deliver these to you at a rapid fashion to enable your business efficiency. So if you feel like, this, the slides are also available on the handouts for you, take a look at it. And if your business has a pressing need for a particular form, please reach out to BVR, and we'll gather that feedback and see if we can rearrange the roadmap for you, right? But to your comfort, you should see us as more as a collaborative technology partner with BVR to accelerate your automation. So we will be there with BVR to emphasize, to automate your automation and manual efforts so that you get to the decision making faster and in a more accurate fashion. So we're coming up on the top of the hour. Natalia, do you want to close out some of, or have any questions or anything that you want to talk to them about?
I think we're pretty much all good. We will answer all of the outstanding questions. Don't worry. BVR will forward the questions to us, and we will answer each one of you, and hopefully address any concerns or questions you have. And then just at the end, I have a quote to share with everyone, and it says, "Productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of the commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort." So with the technology tools that are currently available, and as time goes on, we will have more capabilities. We hope that it will enhance your productivity, will make your practice more robust, and you can provide more comprehensive analysis and be the valuable advisor to your clients.
Wonderful. On behalf of BVR, I want to thank Natalia and Murali for their presentation, and I want to thank all of our listeners for attending. If you'd like to learn more about TaxXL or would like to subscribe, you may visit bvresources.com to find a link to the product under the Deal and Market Data menu heading. You may also contact sales@bvresources.com to learn more. We hope you will join us tomorrow, May 17th, for our webinar on professional liability risk management for valuation professionals. Again, to receive your 1 CPE credit, you must complete and submit a brief survey on this webinar within 5 business days. If you choose to fill out the survey now, your browser will automatically redirect to the CPE credit page when I finish speaking, so do not disconnect. A link to the survey is also provided in your login email and on the reading page for today's webinar. Again, the survey will be active for 5 days and must be completed before we can process certificates. After 5 business days, we will process CPE and send your certificates via email. If you have any questions related to the content or format of this webinar, please email training@bvresources.com. Thank you all for listening and have a great rest of your day.